Andrew is getting married, Mom said. The moment I heard her words, I was filled with mixed emotions of joy and loneliness. My name is Emily, and I'm 30 years old. My brother Andrew is 5 years older. Andrew was always kind and intelligent. He took care of me whenever our working parents were busy. I've been fond of him since childhood. I was in my senior year of college when I heard from Mom that Andrew was getting married. I waited for his arrival with mixed feelings, knowing that he would bring his fiancée. But when I met Andrew's girlfriend, these complicated feelings disappeared. Her name is Jennifer, beautiful and kind, always smiling and talking to me. She's perfect for Andrew, and I thought I could get along with her well. Surely the whole family felt the same, and blessed Andrew. But who could have imagined what would happen next? After the wedding, Andrew and his wife asked to stay with us for a while to save money for their own place. With me being at college and part-time work, and our parents often away at their jobs, we thought it wouldn't be much of an issue. Jennifer got along well with my parents and quickly became part of the family. However, I began to feel distrust towards Jennifer. It started with small things. I had my favorite shampoo, but I noticed it smelled on her. When I told her not to use my things without asking, "I'm sorry, I ran out of mine and ended up using yours," she apologized. But the shampoo kept disappearing quickly. Items from my room started to go missing. When confronted in front of the family, it was usually Jennifer who said, "I couldn't find a pen, and I thought Emily, being a student, would surely have one." Or, "I needed a handkerchief urgently and found one in the laundry, so I borrowed it." And then she would apologize. These were small things, but I have a strong dislike for people touching my belongings, and the stress gradually built up. Half a year later, I was watching TV in the living room on a weekend when Jennifer came in. "Move over," she said brusquely. I was shocked and looked at her. "You're in the way. I prefer if you're not around during the day," she said. Those words made all my pent-up stress explode. "This is my house, you know. You're the one who's staying here," I retorted. Jennifer laughed. Not with the warm smile I met her with, but a mocking one. "Still living in your parents' house as an adult? How dependent are you? And now that I'm married, I have the right to live here too. Understand?" She spoke with such absurd logic. Just because you're married, what of it? Just because you're married, what of it? I was born and raised here. What's wrong with living in my parents' house? Then Jennifer mocked me even more. "That will keep you from ever getting married. With a face like yours, I doubt you'll ever catch a decent man. But you should at least try to be likable like me." I could almost respect her two-faced nature, but I refused to deceive others just to be liked. I told her that boldly. "I don't want to be like you, Jennifer. You're probably just attracted to Andrew for his title and money." Andrew has always been smart, working for a well-known corporation. Our busy parents have decent jobs too, and I believe we're a relatively affluent family. That's why with a spacious house, having another person living with us isn't too bothersome. From what I've heard, Jennifer's family struggled, raised by a single mother far from wealth, so it wouldn't surprise me if she were drawn to status and money. And I often see how she clings to Andrew, not seeming truly in love. Yet Andrew is oblivious, pampered by Jennifer. "Do you really love Andrew, or did you marry him for other reasons?" I asked her. And Jennifer laughed. "Marriage is not just about love or hate. You're so childish. Of course I married someone wealthy. Eventually this house will be mine. Thanks to living here, I can buy designer clothes and gourmet foods without worry." Then Jennifer glared at me sharply. "Besides, you, as a single woman, are somewhat in the way. You should leave soon." I was silent, and Jennifer approached me aggressively. "Say something." Then she threw my mobile phone to the floor. The screen shattered, and I yelled at Jennifer in anger. "Hey, what are you doing?" At that moment, Andrew, who had been out, heard my loud voice and rushed into the living room. Seeing Andrew, Jennifer ran to him. "Emily started yelling at me and threw her mobile phone at me," she lied. Andrew said, "Emily, what do you have against Jennifer? I hear you've always been harassing her." Hearing this, I was stunned. Andrew didn't believe me at all. Apparently, Jennifer had been telling Andrew and my parents that I was harassing her when they weren't around. When things went missing from my room, she made it seem like I deliberately tried to embarrass her in front of the family. Even if I bought a cake, she would claim I intentionally didn't buy any for her. And recently, one of her designer bags was found in my room, implying I had stolen it. All of these accusations were completely baseless. I don't know anything about that designer bag. When I told Andrew this, he blamed me. "There's no way you don't know. It was found in your room with your stuff inside it. I heard you were envious of Jennifer having it, but that doesn't mean you can just take it." I never knew about such a bag, let alone envied it. Despairing over Andrew's complete trust in Jennifer, I murmured, "I understand what you said, Jennifer." Then I went to my room and started looking for a place to move immediately. I hate the idea of leaving because she told me to, but my family was already swayed by her, and no one believed me anymore. I couldn't believe my family either. It's been about 7 years since I left home. My contact with my parents has been minimal. After leaving, I worked hard, and before I knew it, I was a 30-year-old with a responsible position. Many have left to get married, but I can't seem to find hope in marriage, all because of Jennifer. I thought it was fine as long as she didn't involve me. But then, unexpectedly, they came. One weekend while I was relaxing at home, the doorbell rang. Going to see who it was, I found Andrew and his wife. They started explaining immediately upon seeing me. Through tears, they told me their daughter has a serious illness and they are looking for a compatible organ donor, asking if I could get tested. I knew Andrew and his wife had had a child years ago, but I had never met her. To me, she was a stranger. I didn't even know her age or gender until now. And because of Jennifer, my relationship with my family had deteriorated. Even Andrew, we used to be so close, but he believed only Jennifer's side and blamed me. I couldn't forgive him for that, so I told them I couldn't give an immediate answer. But they pleaded with me just to get tested, and their selfishness made me resent them even more. Because of your lies, I had to leave home. Andrew didn't believe a word I said, did he? And now you come here, not even apologizing, just asking for favors? If you really want me to get tested, apologize right now. And Jennifer, tell the truth about what you did to me. Then, perhaps because their daughter was important, Jennifer slowly started to speak. Maybe if Emily was around, Andrew would prioritize her over me. That would make me sad and jealous. John and Isabella would naturally prioritize their own daughter if Emily were around. That's why I wanted you gone. She spoke through tears, but I doubted her sincerity and told them so. It's not about being sad or jealous, right? It's because if I'm around, there's less money for Jennifer to use. I know you've been getting more living expenses from our parents since she came. Mom mentioned that the living expenses had significantly increased since Jennifer arrived. Essentially, I was an inconvenience, so you lied to get my family on your side. Jennifer looked shocked, but I continued. That time you claimed I stole the bag, it was you who placed it in my room, with some of my items inside to make it look like I was using it, and then had Andrew discover it, right? Didn't she tell you to check my room, Andrew? Andrew seemed to ponder for a moment and then nodded. But that alone doesn't prove Jennifer is in the wrong. It's just your speculation. And why bring up such an old issue now? I thought maybe I could awaken Andrew to the truth, but it was futile. Maybe it's good to trust one's spouse, but I couldn't accept it. You are also an adult, they say, but some things can't be overlooked. When I refused, Andrew began to panic. Emily, we just need you to get tested. Apparently, Andrew and his wife, along with our parents and relatives, had been tested, but no one was a match, and I was their last hope. No way. It's my time you're asking for. Why should I do such a thing? That's when Jennifer broke down crying and begged for forgiveness. I'm really sorry. I'll do anything. Please just get the test. I'll even pay you for the day's wages. I was angered by her position. Do you think paying me off settles it? We'll pay your wages, so get tested. If you're a match, donate. Isn't that a strange request? Besides, you've always disliked me. So if I'm a match, you'd have a part of someone you despise in your daughter. You wouldn't be able to bear that, right? Jennifer looked troubled. Even if it's something from the past, I have no desire to help people who can't apologize for their mistakes. And today proves it. You still won't apologize. You probably still look down on me, but don't mistake it. I won't just comply with whatever you say. I've cut ties with my family since then. You're practically strangers to me. As I moved to close the door, Andrew and his wife tried to stop me. It's pointless to say anything more. I've made up my mind. You may love your daughter, but to me, she's a stranger. Would you normally go through pain and change your plans for a stranger? As I finished, Jennifer started to scream. How cruel! But I didn't waver. Yes, a terrible person like you should never come here again. With that, I closed the door. They are strangers to me now. I have no reason to interact with them. From that day on, calls from Andrews incessantly came in. It was really persistent. I hate needles and despise hospitals. I don't know exactly what the test entails, but it likely involves needles and takes time. I can't endure that, so I definitely will not get tested. Enough already. Don't contact me again. Why don't you think about what you've done? After calling me cruel, you still seek help? If you contact me again, I'll talk to the police. I picked up the phone for the last time to tell Andrew this. Then I blocked calls from him and my family. Yet I still feel a pang of pity for my niece when I see sick children on TV. So I hesitated a little and did some research based on what I heard. It seems that overseas transplants are possible. Even if it costs a fortune, there's a chance for survival. If the child is really important, they'd do anything. Yet Jennifer appeared at my house insisting on the test, so I asked her, "Can't she get a transplant overseas? Why don't you go for that option?" But the answer she gave me was absurd. Why would we go overseas when you're right here? Do you know how much that would cost? If you're not going to get tested, then you should pay for it. You're single. You must have savings. You have no other use for it anyway. Being yelled at like this on my doorstep, I called the police, and that was the end of it. How can you be so rude when you're asking for help? Enough is enough. As I said that, the police arrived and took Jennifer away. I heard that Andrew and Jennifer's marital disputes became incessant over the financial strain, and their relationship with our parents worsened. They sold the family home to raise funds, so I no longer have a place to return to. Andrew and his wife moved into an old apartment to save money, but Jennifer couldn't stand the lifestyle, leading to constant quarrels. Whether it's about their daughter or themselves, I can't really tell. Andrew has changed so much. He's as good as gone in my eyes. Since then, I've completely cut ties with them. They stopped involving me. I may be forever alone, but it's far better than being with such people. I am enjoying my single life. Marriage is where life goes to die, they say, and that was exactly true for my own. My marriage was orchestrated to lead me towards death, but I refuse to be the only one heading there. I'll take my husband and the in-laws with me. I, Amanda, married Daniel when we were both 32. I lost my parents in an accident and lived in children's homes for about 3 years, then worked and lived alone since I was 18. Though I made friends in the children's homes and at work, the absence of my parents always felt like a small hole in my heart, constantly seeking someone to fill that void. That's when Daniel appeared. Daniel worked in sales at the same company as me and initiated the conversation. He was handsome, with excellent sales performance, always surrounded by female employees, making me wonder why he approached me, a rather plain person. He'd invite me to lunch nearby and bring back presents just for me when he traveled, all openly in the office. Consequently, our relationship became well known, and I began receiving harassment from other female employees. However, when I told Daniel about this, "It's really the worst when women harass someone I like," he loudly declared in the office full of people. After that, the troubles ceased. Am I really worthy of such a wonderful man's love? I would tear up with happiness. 6 months into our relationship, I was invited to Daniel's family home. We went by train, and to my surprise, his parents came to meet us at the station with such a welcoming attitude. I was astonished. "We've been waiting for a woman like you. You're really suited to be Daniel's wife." They greeted me as if our marriage was already decided. I felt a bit of unease, but Daniel assured me, saying, "I've been talking about Amanda to them for a while, and Dad and Mom say there's no one else for me but her," and smiled. Knowing that my parents were gone and my upbringing in children's homes, they comforted me. "You've been through a lot, but don't worry, we're here now," pulling me back into a dreamlike world. However, as marriage discussions became more concrete, Daniel's parents began to express their opinions more strongly. I wanted to quit my job immediately to have many children, which was something deeply important to me. Though Daniel and his parents would make a great family, I longed even more for a family of my own blood. However, Daniel and his parents were strongly against it. "Pregnancy should be left to nature. Besides, if you want to have many children, you'll need a lot of money," they said. "Exactly. If you get pregnant, you can take maternity leave. You should work hard and earn money now," they insisted. I agreed, seeing the logic in their words. Then the demands escalated. For example, the wedding reception. I wanted a small ceremony or none at all, as I had few relatives and not many friends. But Daniel and his parents insisted on a grand celebration. "Daniel is well regarded at work, so it's essential to invite his bosses and many others," they said. "We work in the same place, so just from colleagues alone we can invite 60 to 70 people. With friends and acquaintances, we can invite even more," Daniel added. I was overruled. The same went for where we would live. Daniel was living in a 2-bedroom apartment alone, and I thought we'd live there together after getting married. But Daniel insisted families should live together, and decided on his own that we'd move in with his parents. He vacated his apartment and hastily moved us into his parents' home. At this point I realized most of my wishes were being disregarded. Moreover, with his parents interfering in various aspects, it seemed impossible to expect a peaceful newlywed life with Daniel. Still, I tried not to mind, hoping that enduring a bit would lead to a wonderful family. Then the day to obtain our marriage license arrived. The wedding and reception were still 2 months away, but his parents advised getting the license early. The plan was for Daniel and me to go alone, but his mother, Christina, insisted, "It's a joyous occasion. Let's share the happiness together." And so his parents came along. Upon arriving at the municipal office to issue the license, I overheard a quiet conversation between Daniel and his parents. "Now Amanda has no place to escape to. She'll have to comply with us. She has no home to return to," they whispered. "Good. Now I can be relieved of household chores. We'll make her do everything," his mother said. "Talk to the company's accounting and change her salary's direct deposit to your bank account. She won't be allowed to use her salary freely once married," they discussed. Hearing this, I felt a chill all over. They wanted a free housekeeper in me, thinking that without a family or relatives to turn to, I would obediently serve. The affection Daniel displayed at work was likely a ruse to prevent me from running away. I was determined not to marry. The clerk, who seemed to have overheard the conversation, was looking at me intently. I whispered, audible only to the clerk. "I don't need a marriage license," I said. The clerk, momentarily confused, handed me a blank piece of paper instead of a license. I quickly tucked the paper into my bag and returned to Daniel and his parents, pretending nothing was amiss. Initially, I wanted to confront them about what I heard, but I realized that wouldn't be enough to settle my frustration. "Looking forward to our future together," I said with a smile, while secretly plotting my next move. As expected, their attitude changed from that day. "Now you must serve us three as your masters," they demanded. "Let's see your skills in housekeeping. From now on, everything is your responsibility, Amanda. No slacking, or else," they threatened. "Your salary will be transferred directly to Daniel's bank account to fund a new house we plan to build with your money." As expected, I obediently pretended to comply, all while setting up a trap. "Daniel, Frank, Christina, how about a trip?" I suggested. "I finally have a family, and I'm truly grateful. I'd like to invite the three of you on a trip as a token of my appreciation," I added, mentioning a super luxurious hotel. They fell for it, so I arranged everything, eagerly awaiting the day. Upon arrival at the hotel, I booked the most expensive rooms for 2 nights, each equipped with a jacuzzi, and access to the hotel's spa, fitness gym, and pool. They were delighted. As I assured them, all additional expenses would be settled upon checkout, leading them to splurge on souvenirs and luxuries, including ordering copious amounts of expensive wine and whiskey with room service later on. As expected, the bill on the final day totaled $9,000. At the front desk, I pretended to be ready to pay with my credit card, then exclaimed, "Oh no! I've left my credit card at home," ensuring Daniel could hear. Naturally, I hadn't forgotten it at all. Daniel and his parents were livid, scolding me loudly, demanding what we were going to do. I then turned to Daniel. "I'm so sorry. I'll withdraw the money and give it back to Daniel in full once we're home. Could you please pay with your credit card for now?" I pleaded. Reluctantly, Daniel took out his credit card, warning, "Make sure you pay it back with interest." "Don't worry, I have savings from before we were married," I assured him. He handed over his card to the front desk, seemingly pleased. Success. After leaving the hotel, we visited several tourist spots, ensuring they continued to spend lavishly. Upon returning home, I excused myself. "I'll just go to the bank's ATM," and never entered the house, escaping with my bag, packed with all my belongings. I had arranged to stay with a friend who was aware of my situation for a while. By then, Daniel and his parents would have been in shock discovering the note I left on the living room table. It read, "I cannot marry such terrible people." As expected, I received a call from Daniel 10 minutes after leaving the house. "Why is there a note saying I cannot marry such terrible people?" "Because I realized I would be mistreated if I married into this," I retorted, revealing that I had heard everything they discussed. Daniel choked up. "You thought you could do anything because I have no parents or siblings to go to. Don't underestimate people," I said. Then Daniel became defiant. "I married you even though you're doomed to be alone forever. How dare you act high and mighty? Do you think in this day and age, just because I'm destined to be alone, I won't leave? Besides, I'm young, working, and childless. You and your parents are really foolish," I countered. Daniel fell silent. I pressed on. "Make sure you pay the entire bill from the trip with your credit card. Thanks for falling for my lie so easily." "Wait, it was $9,000, right?" "More like 10,000 in total after we left the hotel." "Tough luck," I said, and Daniel became even angrier. "Why should I pay the whole amount? Are you saying I should pay your part too?" "Of course! You three tried to deceive me, so think of it as getting off cheap," I retorted and hung up. Daniel, who had been spending all his salary expecting to use mine, had little savings. The same likely went for his spendthrift parents, so paying off $10,000 wouldn't be easy for them. I was curious to see how they'd manage. Later, I received a substantial settlement from Daniel as an apology for what amounted to marriage fraud. Since we worked at the same company and many thought we were getting married, I agreed not to disclose the truth in exchange for the settlement. I also made him pay the cancellation fees for the wedding we had planned in 2 months. With over 100 guests invited, the cancellation would cost him 40% of the estimated amount, or $20,000, forcing him to borrow from high-interest lenders. Eventually, the company found out we weren't married because I never submitted any change of address or marriage notification. As a result, Daniel's standing at the company deteriorated, leading to his resignation. He's been struggling to find work and take care of his nearly penniless parents. Meanwhile, I continue to work at the same company. Initially, I was the subject of curiosity and sympathy, but now I've settled into my routine without much gossip. Maybe I'll start looking for a partner after a while.